Fine. Now, a little bit of function we have already done before, like by using onClick. If you remember, we used to write a function in JavaScript, and on clicking a button, that function used to happen. Now, what is new here? Same thing only we will going to study. But the way we have written functions so far, that way can be written in many other ways actually. How many ways we can use functions, that is only we are going to see here. Now, let me just proceed. So you see, this is quite a topic for today. Function definition, which we all know already, then how to call a function, then how to return a value, function expressions. Now this is a new topic, and this also as well. Returning value we haven't done so far. So what is that? Very simple thing, nothing very hard. We have already done the function, so I hope all of you will understand. So this type of, they directly may not give you questions or programs from this, but they will give you, for now, obviously they can give you outputs from this. They will just give you the program, and you actually have to solve that. You have to understand where is the function, how it is being called, how it is returning the value, so that you can find out the output. So let's see. We will start with normal introduction, which we already know what are functions. These are specific tasks, can be kept and maintained separately from a main program. Now, you see, how do we write functions? If you remember, just let me show you. Yes, this was our way of writing functions. Now, we used to write function, then function name. Just this went into the next line because there was no space here, actually, that is why. Then here we did not used to write anything. Here it is written parameter list. Now what is a parameter list? I'll tell you. So we just used to write function, then we used to give a name, and then bracket open, bracket close, then second bracket, that curly bracket, and then after that we used to write a body of the function, whatever we need to do, and then we used to close it. So this is our basic syntax of function, and this only is we are going to study in the beginning actually. So let's just look into the theory a little bit, and then we'll start with the coding. The function, you see, it is a specific task that can be kept separate from the main program. Why it is saying that separate from the main program? Because as we know already, a function do not do not executes itself automatically. You have to, or the programmer or the program have to write a code in order to call the function. If you only and only call the function, then only it can be executed. So that is why it is not in the main program. Main program, what happens? Along with the program, as it executes, whatever is written in the main program, it executes automatically. But it is not in case of function. Function has to be called. So that is why it is said it can be kept separately from the main program, and it is up to you. If you want to call the function, you call it, otherwise you may leave it. Function provides a way to create reusable code packages which are more portable and easier to debug. Now what is the meaning of debug? Finding out errors. Okay, so debug means finding out errors. So this is much more easier to reuse the code. Now, what is the meaning of reusing code? That means if you write one function, that particular function can be called several times in that program or in a separate program also. So you don't have to write that function again and again. So that is the main and the most important feature of a function. Okay. So next is, what is the advantage of JavaScript function? Now there are mainly two advantages which we already have just now explained: code reusability and less coding. Okay. Now less coding means what? These two are quite linked with each other. If you reuse the code, there is less coding. You don't have to write the code again and again. So that is the same meaning. Next, there are some basic rules which we already know. Just I'm going through it. User-defined function name should be unique. Obviously, a function name should be unique. If you have three functions, all three functions should have its own name. Same name will not go for the three functions. We know it already. List of parameters enclosed within the parentheses and separated by commas. Now, parameters are, I told you, I'll tell you in the process in today's class only. Now, when we write parameters, you just know right now that we have to give a comma in between in order to separate them. We'll see it later on. List of statement composing the body of the functions enclosed within curly braces. Now, whatever we write within the body of the function, we open the brace and then we close the brace as normal. Now, this is the syntax which we saw before. And there is an example I gave you here beside. You can see there is a function. The name of the function is MSG. You open the bracket, close bracket, then your curly bracket opens. You can even write this curly bracket in the next line, doesn't matter. Then you have an alert beside. Then you are closing the bracket. That means your function is ending here. Now script is closed. After that, as we always do, a button is being created, and on click of this button, my MSG, this function is going to execute. And you have given a value, that means the button will display a text called as call function. Now here you see, here again, you are actually calling the function, and only then this MSG function is being executed. So the main thing you have to remember in function programs, or if they give you to execute any program, you have to remember that whether your function has been called or not. Sometimes, they trick you. They give a function there, and in the body, the rest of the body, they do not give you a call of the function. And some of you might get, confused, and you actually do the body of the function, the execution, you show it in your output, and it becomes wrong. So you always have to remember whether your function is being called or not called. If it is not called, a function will stay, but it will never execute. Okay. Now, what I was actually talking about. Can you see my screen, girls? Please confirm me. Okay. I will increase or decrease. What do you want me to do? Achha, if I increase, will it increase at your end? I'm trying. Is it increasing there? Okay. Fine now? Okay. Achha, now next argument, which I was saying that I will tell you. These are the parameters. Now please write it down or note it down anywhere, that parameters are those which we write inside these brackets while we define a function. Now here also see, I've defined a function, then the name I've given getCube, and inside the bracket where we do not used to write anything so far, now I have written a variable. The name of the variable is number now. Now this is called a parameter. Okay. either parameter or I can say argument. Both are the name of the same thing. We say arguments or parameters. So these terms you need to remember because further we are going to use this term. You might not get confused. Okay. Next, now what is the use of this parameter? I'll tell you. You see the function body. There's a simple alert, and in the alert I am actually finding out the cube. This variable is being multiplied 3 times. You can see that means I'm finding out the cube of the number variable. Now how this function is going to work? Now see, after the script I've given a button, as usual normal button, and on click this cube, that get cube function is going to execute. Now you see, while I call, what is shown here? Now while I call, it is in bracket, it is written 4. Can you see, which we haven't used so far. Whenever we used to call a function, we just used to write that name of the function and bracket open, bracket close. So you might be, asking yourself that why 4 is there. So 4 is actually the parameter here. So please just listen this very carefully what happens. Now here, whenever you call the function and you write here 4, this 4 gets copied into here in this number. Okay, so whenever you're calling get cube, as if you're also giving 4 with it as an input. You're giving an input 4 and that 4 is being copied into number, and now number becomes 4 and it will give you an answer 4 into 4 into 4, and what will be your answer? 4 cube. So that will become your answer. Now could I make it clear? Anybody have any doubt? You ask. Please ask, otherwise I won't be able to know. Yes. Yes, correct, yes. Yes, right. Very good question. If the user needs to write or give you the value, as we always have done so far, so what you do, as you have taken the value, you have taken the value by prompt. Okay, so you take the value from prompt, and that variable needs to be written in here. If you want to see, I'll show you. Just a minute, I'll show you right now. I just see, let me just run this program. Okay, then in that there I can show you if I want to take any value from prompt and how do you do it. Now this is a website. I don't know whether you can see. I hope you don't see right now. Wait, I have to share my whole screen, then you can see. Yeah, can you see the screen? This is actually a website, where they give you the code and the runnable screen together. So I thought this would be more easier in this virtual platform for you to understand if you see it together. So this is the program. You see the same program only. And here the button came as you have written, input type button on click, 4 you have given. So let's click the button. And you see alert came because it was written alert here, and 64, why? 4 into 4 into 4 is 64. Now what she was asking, that if user has to take a value, so I will have to give a prompt here, right? So either you can take it from text box as we used to take, and that text box value can be given here, or let us use a prompt only. I'm taking a variable, suppose P, equals to prompt. Okay. Enter a number. Then I need to call the function. So see, this was, I was going to show in the next slide, but as you asked, I'm showing it in here. So this is another way of calling a function. This is also, oh, I can't use this here. Okay, I'll tell you just. So far we used to call it like this inside onClick, but you can also call a function by simply writing it inside here like this, as I wrote. Name of the function, and in bracket, this time I'll write P. Why P? Because now we don't want 4 as the input. I want the input which user will give me. Okay, so user input, we can take it as prompt. So I've taken prompt, and you can, as usual, as we do, parse int. You can do that parse int if you want to. Okay, so let's see if without parse int it works. Otherwise, we will give parse int. And that P you are giving inside as a parameter now in getCube. Now what happens whenever the compiler sees getCube, it will again go back to the function and it will execute, and this time P value will be cubed, not 4. Okay, so let me run. See? Yes, we are not using that, dear. We are not using that. We are not using that. I have called another function. Can you see? This I have stayed. I kept it. You can either use this or you can use this. Yes, if you are taking it from prompt, so you have to write it within script, because prompt and everything are the JavaScript code. You cannot write it within HTML. So if you are using prompt, then function call has to be within the script area. Okay. Now, if you want to, take it from text box, so then you have to use the text box code here. So that time the thing is separate. That we will move on further and we'll see. So for just now, you're just learning this now, so I'm showing you simply so that others also understand. So now if I just run, so it is asking me the prompt value. Okay. Now please notice here, as I told you, that function doesn't work itself. So before my function was there, this whole thing was before, and then my prompt. But rather than giving me the alert, it gave me the prompt first. Because function will not work until unless you call it. It will skip. The compiler will simply skip the function part and it will ask you the next part. So that's what happened here. First your prompt is working. So prompt, suppose I want to give 3. Click on OK. Yes,